Coming to you live from Nairobi, Kenya. Welcome to Africa Focus, where we bring you news from across the continent right here on Switch TV Kenya. My name is Joel Church and our sign language interpreter is Tracy Dorcas. Start interacting with us on our social media platforms, Switch TV Kenya, at Joel Chacha M on Twitter and as well on Facebook, Switch TV Kenya and Joel Chacha. Send in an SMS via 111 I repeat that again, 111 But first, here are stories making headlines. Nobel Peace Laureate Denis Mukwenge is again under the guard of United Nations security forces in DR Congo after death threats against him. Namibia reopened its airports after almost 6 months after lockdown was imposed to curb the spread of COVID-19. Musa Traore, who led Mali from 1968 until he was ousted in a coup in 1991, has died aged 83. World Health Organization Chief Tedros Adhanom says he remains worried over the lack of solidarity on the international level in the fight against COVID-19 and is asking for more funding for the act to accelerate a global collaboration to hunt for COVID-19 vaccines and treatments.
Accelerator will not be able to deliver on its goals without a significant increase in funding. The $2.7 billion it has received to date has been generous and has enabled the robust startup phase. But this is less than 10% of the overall needs. The ACT Accelerator still faces a funding gap of $35 billion. At the same time, bilateral vaccine deals and vaccine nationalism could compromise equitable access and hold up progress for all countries in bringing the COVID-19 pandemic to an end. Between now and the end of the year, we have a limited window of opportunity to scale up the ACT Accelerator and fully enable the equitable allocation framework.
So I think this is a good, perhaps a wake-up call or a lesson for everyone to recognize the fact that there are ups and downs in research, there are ups and downs in clinical development, and we have to be prepared for those. It's not always a fast and a straight road.
It is a race. It's a race against this virus, and it's a race to save lives. It's not a race between companies. It's not a race between countries. It's a race to support public health in the safest and most effective way possible.
I think what worries me the most is what I have been saying all along. Lack of solidarity. Because when solidarity lacks and when we're divided, that's a very good opportunity for the virus, and that's why it's still spreading.
Moving on, Kenya Films Classification Board and MPs from the Lower Eastern region in Kenya, led by Senator Enoch Wambua, came together to create awareness on COVID-19 through music. The team launched a song dubbed Pamoja Tuwaweza, or rather Tuangamize Corona, at the Nairobi Cinema Auditorium. Nyakundi Kelvin with more.
Senate Speaker Kenneth Lusaka reiterated that the gospel of peace needs to be preached, noting that insults among leaders will lead to tension among supporters with the country gearing towards 2022 general elections.
Leaders, let us watch what we say. It means a lot to this country. A small thing can make this country go to the dogs. So I really want to appeal to ourselves as leaders that even before you open your mouth to say what you want to say, find out the impact of what you are saying. What are you communicating? What are our children, like a member of parliament has said, what are our children expecting or watching as you say what you are saying? So really, I just want to appeal to ourselves as leaders in the whole republic. Now I'm talking as a national leader, that this is our country. We have no spare country. Let us be very careful what we say. Let us be very careful how we behave, because people are going to emulate from what we really do.
Kathiani Member of Parliament Robert Mbui urged Kenya Films Classification Board to continue cleaning content that goes on air to prevent further spread or promotion of hate speech.
You have heard recently leaders hurling insults. In fact, I want to say this, and Bona CEO Ezekiel Mutua has said it to us now, that we must clean the content that goes on our TVs. And I want to tell you, Dr. Mutua, that as even you are looking at films, let us also look at what is presented in news. When news is being shown at 7 o'clock, our children are watching. We are with our wives and our children. And then you hear leaders open their mouths and insult other leaders. Leaders open their mouths and insult people's mothers. I think really if we are going to put a restricted 18 on content, maybe news now needs to be one of those.
The song is expected to bring the nation together to fight COVID-19 pandemic and promote peaceful coexistence among Kenyans. The Kenya Films Classification Board's mandate is to regulate creation and distribution of films in Kenya, and through partnering with MPs from the Lower Eastern region, they hope to promote peace among leaders in the country. Kundi Kelvin, Switch TV.
Away from that, the city of Cape Town has demolished over 50,000 illegal structures in just over a month as land invasions increased during the COVID-19 lockdown. Land invaders insist that they have been forced to take the land as they have nowhere else to live and need space for their safety and dignity.
They come here to take our land. Now we want them to take it out. They must go out back where they come from.
Some of us, like me, I lost a job. Like after I lost a job, I never had a place to stay anymore. Now, like I'm renting, I went out to the rent, looking for a place to stay. I put my walkie there. The reason was to having my own place to stay where I'm not going to rent.
Even if they kill me, I still can get shot for no reason. For walking to the shop, I can get shot. So why can't they kill me if they want to shoot me for my own house? I'm not doing this for something small. I'm doing this to build a family so that each one of us have our own privacy. Where each one of us have our own dignity. Where I can say, that is mine. Nobody can remove me.
But when people are weaponized, when people are armed and they want to coerce the government to give them special preference and special treatment above other people who are also vulnerable, also disabled, also women who have been promised a particular property. So we condemn that in the strongest possible terms.
Since the 11th of July, we have had to attend to 58,478 structures. So we're nearing the point where we will probably do in a month and a half or 2 months what we did in an entire year, the worst year to date. So I think it is undeniable that there is a self-evident link. What has clearly happened is that people have taken advantage of the initially well-intentioned provisions in the lockdown regulations that said you can't evict somebody. Now, many countries have used provisions like that.
Nobel Peace Laureate Denis Mukwege is again under the guard of United Nations security forces in DR Congo after death threats against him prompted protests and international calls for his protection. Mukwege, who is a gynecologist who shared the 2018 Nobel Prize for his work against sexual violence in war, said in July he had been threatened after he condemned a massacre in the country's strife-torn eastern region.
Nobel Peace Laureate Denis Mukwege was again under the guard of United Nations security forces in DR Congo after death threats against him prompted protest and international calls for his protection.
The presence of MONUSCO is very important because of the moment Dr. Mukwege is under threat. And when he is threatened, we as the citizens of Panzi and his neighbors cannot accept it.
Mukwege, a gynecologist who shared the 2018 Nobel Prize for his work against sexual violence in war, said in July he had been threatened after he condemned a massacre in the country's strife-torn eastern region.
It also reassures the patients because the patients are also victims, because they have lived through these atrocities. These same patients are also witnesses to massacres.
The The doctor has been living at the Panzi hospital near Bukavu, which cares for women raped in the surrounding province, since he survived an attack at his home in 2012, in which a security guard was killed. The objective is really the fight against impunity. It is to make sure that the mapping report is taken into consideration, that the direction we are headed in. So security is one thing, but security can only be really guaranteed if justice is present. UN police officers had left the site in May, but were redeployed to the hospital, Mukwenge's communication manager said, adding that there had been zero protection until Wednesday morning.
Shifting gears now to matters politics. ECOWAS chairman Nana Akufo-Addo says the sanctions that have been placed against Mali will be lifted by ECOWAS when the transition will take place. West African leaders met the head of Mali's military junta on Tuesday to press for the return to civilian rule nearly a month after rebel officers seized power in the fragile state.
We are very, very aware that ECOWAS sanctions weigh heavily on the Malian people. We would like as soon as possible to have the opportunity to remove these sanctions. As soon as the transition takes place, the sanctions will be removed.
Away from that, days after National Museum of Kenya officially opened its doors, business is slowly picking, but not as fast as had been expected. Our reporter Vicky Mugambi visited Karen Blixen museums and now paints a picture of a sector that needs time to recover.
Started in the early 1930s, after the death of the Danish author Baroness Karen Blixen, the Karen Blixen Museum has been open to the public after 6 months of closure.
As the museum, we have done all the requirements to cater for our staff and also to cater for the guests who are coming. As you can see from the compound, we have water points, we have the sanitizer, we have the directive of what we need to have. For the children now, we have to have the booking, and they have to book in advance, and then we have to divide that group into 15 per group. We won't take the whole 100 because as you see our museum, the space is not big, and we have to put the directive of 1.5 space between the other group and the other one.
The museum is strictly following the Ministry of Health measures that have been laid down. Joy says the museum has been hard hit by the pandemic and hopes to recover in the next coming days.
Okay, my name is Jose and I'm very happy to be here. And everything is very nice.
The museum is slowly gaining traction as 1 or 2 visitors scarcely visit the place. Jose Pina, a tourist, was excited to be here and feels safe with the new COVID-19 regulations.
We have been following the HEMOH guidelines. We have been prepared to come and open the museum, and we are glad to come and showcase the history of the museum.
This is one among many other centers that reopened yesterday after months of closure. COVID-19 has been with us longer than expected, and now museums are reopening in conformity to the new normal. Vicky Mugambi reporting for Switch TV.
Time to take a breather. Stay with us here on Africa Focus. Welcome back to Africa Focus. My name is Joel Church and our sign language interpreter is Tracy Dorcas. Life in most slums leads some young people to criminal activities and substance abuse that end up ruining their lives. But young men in Korogosho slums here in Nairobi have turned from crime to environmental conservation to engage their community to foster positive change. Vicky Mugambi was in Korogosho and filed the following report.
Click, click, these young ladies have a park in Korogosho to take their beautiful pictures and store their memories. But just behind them a river flows with a stench that tickles the nostrils. Nevertheless, this park was created to fight crime because this path was once a criminal activity dungeon according to the residents here, and it was a place that they detested.
Okay, vile tuliona tuta fall back tena kwa life ya crime, tuka come up na idea. Hii place hapa nje tuko hapa sasa hili kwa ndio hide place. Hapa ndio yenye tulikuwa tunajificha kitambo, tunafanya uhalifu pale, tukiwa na vijana wengine kutoka mitaa tofauti. tunarudi tunajificha hapa. Hakuna polisi angeingia hata hapa. Watu walikuwa kiogopa. Drugs za kujidunga, drugs hizo za bangi, pombe, drugs zote na zile za kumeza pia. Hizo ndio vitu zilikuwa zinatupatia moral, at least ukitumia ndio unaona yenyewe kweli unaweza face mtu wenyewe ni mnyang'anyi.
Crime pande yangu ijanisaidia. Si ndio tulikuwa tunadunga watu hii area, tunawaibia, watu wakai na amani juu yetu.
This youth organization has come a long way in fighting crime and substance abuse as they continue to inspire and urge more youth to join them. According to Edwin, he is lucky to have finished high school. He is already a mentor for many children, giving them hope for a better tomorrow through teaching them basic education.
The best thing unaweza wa mentor nayo ni through education, unasomea stories na wanaweza kulearn from there. Kwa sababu there's this quote by Nelson Mandela yenye huwa inanimotivate sana. Education is the most powerful weapon that we can use to change the world.
Crime does not pay, but you can leave a good environment for the next generation. Exactly what is being done here by young men who turned from criminals to environmentalists here in Korogosho slums. Vicky Mugambi reporting for Switch TV.
Elsewhere, Musa Traore, who led Mali from 1968 until he was ousted in a coup in 1991, died at his home aged 83 in the capital Bamako on Tuesday. As a young lieutenant in 1968, Traore was the main instigator of a coup that overthrew Modibo Keita, who was the country's first post-independence president. He became president the following year and ruled until he himself was toppled. In recent years, he had played the role of elder statesman whose advice was sought by politicians. Meanwhile, the first commercial flight arrived in Namibia almost 6 months after lockdown was imposed at Windhoek's Hosea Kutako International Airport. The Ethiopian Airways flight carried 43 passengers and 11 crew members from Addis Ababa after a new initiative by the Namibian government to revive the tourism sector.
Namibia officially reopened to foreign visitors on September 1st in a bid to salvage the tourism industry hard hit by the coronavirus restrictions. The first flight landed at Hosea Katuko International Airport on Friday afternoon, carrying just over 40 passengers coming mainly from Austria, Germany and Kenya via Addis Ababa. But most had come to the sparsely populated South African country to join their families or for work reasons.
Globally, passenger movement declined by almost 80%, whereas on the African continent, they declined up to 95% due to travel bans and lockdown restrictions. It's the result of COVID-19 pandemic.
Namibia has reopened to foreign visitors despite a steady increase in coronavirus cases. Infections have more than tripled since the start of August, rising over 9,100 this month. Recorded deaths remain below 100. To avoid importing more cases, anyone coming into the country is required to test negative no more than 72 hours before traveling.
Revenue and cash flow inflows have reduced by 96%. Averaging 41 million per month. The episode has resulted in a complete erosion of income for the airport company.
At the airport, announcements constantly remind passengers in face masks to sanitize, wash their hands and keep safe distance. Nyakundi Kelvin, Africa Focus.
In recent years, networking has provided a more diverse network for contacts and extended one's reach into different social circles, and with these enhancing one's career opportunities. Our reporter Ivy Kavai met Kamau Nyabwenge, who provides a networking platform through sports.
Away from the Nairobi Central Business District at the leafy and serene Ridges area lies the green and picturesque Windsor Golf Course. Strutting ahead are innovative entrepreneurs brought together through golf. The Young Entrepreneurs Network Africa is a program aiming to bring golf closer to the community and in addition offer networking platforms for its participants. Kamau Nyabwenge, the CEO of Yen Golf Program and a golfer himself, hopes to promote the sport and use it as a tool for business networking.
The program encompasses of 8 sessions. So you either choose a Saturday or a Sunday to come and train. If you were to be trained directly by the pro, you will pay between 40 to 50,000. So we make it affordable by putting people in a group. So we put guys in a group of a maximum of between 8 and 10 people, and then they learn together. And as they learn together, then they also get to network, because they are actually usually people from different sectors of the economy. So you find lawyers, doctors, startups, sometimes students, all the way. So they get to network and get to meet each other.
The program, completed over 8 classes, has managed to train over 200 people and is able to accommodate amateurs in golf, giving them the basics and necessities of the sport. Mukwenge hopes to change some of the misconceptions of young professionals and make the sport more appealing to a younger fan base and players.
The goal is to get somebody playing golf proficiently. So by the time you're starting out, we assume that you do not have any idea of golf, have never gotten to a golf course. So we take you from the basics. So by the time you're going to the 8th session, which is actually a tournament, you know which club to use, what to do when you get to a particular place, because golf has different places. There's putting, there's bunker, there's chipping, so you know what club to use when you get to a particular place, and you can play the game proficiently, either alone or assisted, of course, with a caddy.
Mukwenge calls on golf enthusiasts and young players interested in the sport to be confident enough, pick up the club and swing it on the course, insisting that this could potentially increase the number of active players in the country.
And what I'd like to tell guys outside there is that they should not be afraid, they should not be scared of the sport. Don't think that it's too expensive. It's very affordable. It's only 20,000 and you get to be trained. And like I said, you don't have to be a member. Windsor has given us that courtesy, and we really thank them. And so you should just come out, and this is a sport that you'll play from now up till you are as old. With this game, there's a lot of opportunities in terms of networking, and for them to use that and utilize that to meet people and to also do business.
For the longest time, golf has been perceived to be a difficult, complicated, lazy, and more often than not, expensive sport. However, the beauty of life is learning something new every single day. Ivy Kavai, Switch TV Sports.
Elsewhere, men in army uniform were seen in a video executing a naked woman suspected of being an Al-Shabaab insurgent. The video has been shared by several human rights activists, sparking outrage among many. Mozambique's defense ministry, however, later condemned the horrifying images and called for an investigation to be carried out. Militants have been launching a series of attacks on villages and towns in the area over the past 3 years, killing more than 1,500 people and displacing at least 250,000. That's all we had on Africa Focus today, but keep the conversation going on our social media platforms, Switch TV Kenya. To Joel Church, I am on Twitter and as well on Facebook, Switch TV Kenya. My name is Joel Church and our sign language interpreter is Tracy Dorcas. Until next time, do have yourself a great day.